Hello, I'm Dr. Leon Stutzman, aka Doc, with another one of these little videos designed to help you to get through these strange days in which we find ourselves. And every time I check the news feed, I'm reminded these are strange days indeed. And I often remind you on Friday that I call them my little videos, not because they're unimportant, but because it's just me with my smartphone in my home office, sharing some things with you that I know will help you to get through these strange days. I'm talking about discerning divine direction, because I believe that when you're walking in divine direction, supernatural things will manifest in your life. We're looking at the story of the wise men. We looked at the first point. They realized something significant was going on. They rationalized, we need to meet this king. They regarded the scripture, and then they rejected carnal reasoning. You have to reject carnal reasoning if you're going to discern divine direction, because oftentimes divine direction makes sense, but it really doesn't make sense. Let me give you the prime example in our lives. Lima, Ohio. How did we get to Lima, Ohio? Well, we felt like starting a church. I'd been traveling for 3 years, had very successful meetings, but I knew that for longevity I was going to need to pastor a church. Where were we going to start a church? Well, of course, Dallas, Texas was our home, and we thought about finding a church in Dallas, Texas. Thought about Fort Wayne, Indiana. We'd had a very successful meeting in Fort Wayne, Indiana. It's a nice, large Midwestern city. And then there was Lima, and Lima kept coming to our hearts and our minds. Now, our friends said, why Lima? Because in their perception, Lima was a town of 50,000 people, decaying in the Rust Belt, not a place to build a great church. Why Lima? But in our heart of hearts, we knew that Lima was the place. It was divine direction. So we started the Lima church in a 51-foot long, 21-foot wide storefront with screaming yellow pegboard walls, and we painted celery green with $1-a-gallon paint that we got at the dollar store. We had $500 that we used to start that church. The carpeting was from a Holiday Inn that had replaced their carpet and given the used carpeting to another church. They donated it to us. It had been worn out a long time ago. 50 borrowed folding chairs, 50 rented folding chairs, and a $10 a week piano. That was the beginning of a great church. It didn't look like the beginning of a great church. We actually had friends of ours that were betting among themselves as to how long we'd stay there. They all said, he's not a pastor, he's an evangelist. He's going to go off on the road 3 months, 6 months. One person gave us a year. 10.5 years later, we had the third largest church in the city. Why? Because we were moving by divine direction. Sometimes you have to reject carnal thinking if you're going to experience divine direction and develop the mind of Christ. The Bible said, 1 Corinthians 2, verse 16, who hath known the mind of the Lord, that he may instruct him? But we have the mind of Christ. Would you say that out loud? I have the mind of Christ. Why are you saying that out loud? To reinforce in your mind that you do have the mind of Christ. You have the mind of Christ if you are living a rejoicing life. Here's the next point in this teaching. And by the way, you can catch it in its entirety at Aspire Church Facebook page. That's Aspire Church TV. On Facebook, you can catch the entire message, and you really need it. They rejoiced. When they saw the star, they rejoiced with exceeding great joy. Seasonal synergy and divine direction depends on living a life in joy. It's found in joy. The Bible said, Isaiah 12, verse 3, therefore with joy shall you draw waters out of the wells of salvation. With joy. And if you're living a life of joy, you're going to discover divine direction manifesting in your life. You say, well, I'm having a difficult time right now. How can I manifest joy? It's really simple. Psalm 16, verse 11 gives you the secret. Psalm 16, verse 11, thou wilt show me the path of life. In thy presence is fullness of joy. At thy right hand are pleasures forevermore. Find your place in the presence of God. And coincidentally, when you find your place in the presence of God, you're finding yourself in the place of divine direction. Settle yourself in God. Experience the fullness of God. Be satiated with God. That's what the word means. Be gleeful and joyful. Delight yourself in the Lord, and He'll give you the desires of your heart. It's just as simple as that. I have lived a life of joy for more years than I can remember. I encourage you to live in joy, and then remit. Give back to God what belongs to God. They presented Jesus gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Honor God. The Bible said, honor the Lord with thy substance, and with the first fruits of thy increase. So shall your barns be filled with plenty, and your presses shall burst forth with new wine. That's where I'm going to stop today, this Sunday at Aspire Church. Christmas wisdom. It's going to be powerful stuff. If you want to walk in the wisdom of God, and I know you do, you want to catch this message live on the live stream at AspireChurch.tv, on Facebook at Aspire Church TV. That's Facebook, Aspire Church TV, live stream AspireChurch.tv, Sunday morning, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be powerful. I'm Dr. Leon Stutzman, a.k.a. Doc. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you again.